Hello. I'm going to reply to your 7 questions, and I'm also going to suggest you take a look at 1 or 2 essays I've written. The first question is it because you found India to be a land of storytellers, a land rich in varied genres of stories, that you chose India to be your working place? Well, there are indeed many popular genres of stories here. One is animal fables, such as the Panchatantra collection and the Jataka tales. So these are stories with animals who can talk, and it's a convention around the world that animals can talk in stories for young children. I guess Jataka tales is not just for children, it's stories to illustrate Buddhism. But yes, one type of stories that's very, India is very rich in is animal fables. Another is the epics, the story of Ram and the Mahabharata. And I would also add the story of Kannagi and Silaparigaram. So those are epics, which of course many people consider history. In the West, we have these separate genres of animal fables, fairy tales, epics, legends, mythology. But in India, many times they're all combined, especially in the epics. So yes, it was that there are many different types of stories here. And more important than the stories for me is the styles of storytelling. In India, the classical devotional style is often called Harikatha, which involves telling stories from the epics, maybe partly in Sanskrit, and then explaining in vernacular languages, a combination of singing and talking. So that's a religious discourse, but it's also storytelling. Then, at least in Tamil Nadu, we have Vilupattu, which is talking, alternating with singing, and then of course telling grandmother stories, which is done in homes on a non-professional basis usually. One thing that all of these forms have in common is alternating between talking and singing, a combination of talking and singing. So I am trained both by professional storytellers and by getting a PhD in folklore to pay at least as much attention to the social event and the style of storytelling, not just the actual story that's being told and classifying the story. Okay, what do you find really special about and unique about Indian stories and storytellers? You know, I'm going to send you the link to an essay I wrote about the storytelling revival in India, which is about especially what stories people are using as we revive storytelling. Revive means maybe we're telling it in English, maybe we're telling stories for educational purposes, maybe not always just for religious purposes. But what is special and unique about Indian stories and storytellers? Well, there's a certain expressiveness in the performance and eagerness to go into song. There's a certain whimsical nature to many stories in Indian culture, and dramatic and extreme, and just like Hanuman jumps and becomes big and goes long distances. There's a lot of that extreme changes in Indian stories, especially stories that relate to magic and the divine. That makes Indian stories very interesting. Okay, number 3, have low literacy, rural masses who are not educated in the literary method and superstitions contributed to the growth of stories in India? Well, these things have contributed to the maintaining of the oral tradition, maybe not to the growth of stories. What kind of stories have flourished as a result of the above-mentioned factors, low literacy and superstitions? Well, it's helped continue belief in the old systems, old religious systems, but that is also dwindling in some urban areas. 4, what is the future of storytelling in India? I believe there's going to be a lot of video conferencing for telling stories, for discussing stories, for giving training in styles of storytelling. I believe storytelling and video conferencing have a big future together, especially in India, but all around the world. So that's one part of it. 5, where can storytelling be most effective in teaching and entertaining and healing? All of the above. You know, the first application of storytelling is storytelling for the very young, just to teach about morality and ethics. And then with educators, I work with educators even on college level, and I show them that they can use stories and the social interactive process of storytelling to teach any subject. Healing also, there's this field called storytelling therapy, similar to drama therapy, which I'm helping to develop. What genre of stories do you think is best for adult audience? This is number 6. I always start with true life stories, things that really happened in people's lives, personal experiences. I invite people to tell personal experiences. And then if they would like, they can compare that to mythological stories, or they can make fantasy versions of their real life experiences. But I think adults, it's easiest for them to start with things that have actually happened in their lives. Number 7, what is your idea of the state of Kerala and the possibilities there in storytelling? I think in Kerala there's a form called Katha Prasanga, which involves some speaking and some singing, and it's been used for educational purposes, health messages, political messages. So that is a secular reinvention, probably, of what used to be a devotional art form and a ritual art form. So that probably will continue. So the point is, traditional styles of storytelling give a lot of communication skills in talking, in convincing, in showing, in emotional presentation, in poetic presentation. So there's a lot of work in translating that into English for those who want to tell in English. But it's a very rich culture. India is, in Kerala and India, for this tradition of expression and tying together the different aspects of experience. The personal, the cosmic, the small, the big, animal life, human life. Traditional stories tend to, hold on, let me just, traditional stories tend to, many of them tend to combine these things and really give the teller and the listener a sense of who am I, where am I in the universe, what is my role in the universe. One value of stories, especially big stories, mythological stories that we love, is to give us a sense of where we are in the cosmos. So whether or not one believes in God or what one believes in, stories can help situate one. The stories that you love and the stories that you tell help situate one, place one, orient one in the context of the larger world. So that will continue. So even if people are not telling grandmother stories as much as they did, they're not telling entire epics as much as they did, these things are still very much in the air. And somehow I find that Indian people very much internalize, many of them internalize the epics especially, and can talk in great detail about Ram and Sita and Karna. Somehow it gets into people, and it provides models of behavior which one can then uh, adopt or modify. Okay, thank you very much. I'm signing off for now. Bye-bye.